you don't lose that punch. Woo-hoo! Woo-hoo! I love it. Champ, gonna need a new hand. We'll be eating tonight.
I mean, he won world titles in what, 8 divisions?
8 divisions, 13 or 14 world titles.
Crazy.
It will never be done again.
Crazy.
And as much as you want to see records broken, and I want to break records, that man is a one of one.
He's a one of one.
Yeah.
I mean, when he knocked down Thurman in that fight, I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
This guy's 40 years old and still can crack and still as fast as lightning.
Yeah, the power that he possesses, but it's not a thumping power.
After the training video where Manny Pacquiao hurt his coach badly went viral, Joe Rogan shared his thoughts on Pacquiao's return to boxing at 46. According to the UFC commentator, Pacquiao looked wild and it didn't show skill, but signs of rust and weakness. Let's talk about Manny Pacquiao, Joe Rogan said.
I think definitely the greatest boxer maybe in my generation, but not the best fighter. I would say the best, brawler boxer type fighter, Manny Pacquiao, man.
Oh yeah,
Destroyer.
Manny Pacquiao. He
fucking just
won
a
world
destroyer.
titles in 8 different times. I mean, he won world titles in what, 8 divisions?
8 divisions, 13 or 14 world titles.
Crazy.
It will never be done again.
Crazy.
And as much as you want to see records broken, and I want to break records, that man is a one of one.
He's a one of one.
Yeah.
I mean, when he knocked down Thurman in that fight, I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
This guy's 40 years old and still can crack and still as fast as lightning.
Yeah, the power that he possesses, but it's not a thumping power.
That man is one of my all-time greats, but he's making a mistake with this comeback. I just heard he hit his trainer badly during training. I know power is the last thing to go. His punches and speed are still sharp, but he can get hurt too. Mario Barrios isn't a trainer holding pads. He'll be throwing back. It's really sad. But that wasn't all. Joe Rogan, host of the Joe Rogan Experience, kept talking about how wrong Pacquiao's comeback felt. Fans quickly filled his comment section with their own opinions.
Yeah.
And it's
Seeing him beat Keith Thurman at 40 years old, like, god damn, this guy's great. I mean,
Right.
just look at his career with 8 different weight classes, world titles
8.
in 8 different weight classes. 40 years old, beats Keith Thurman, who's in his prime.
Right.
Crazy. I mean, what a man. I mean, what a world champion.
Well,
And
he sure turned back down.
Thumping power, it's that explosive speed, that explosive power, the footwork he gets in position, and all of a sudden he's landed 3, 4, 5 shots and then he's angled off. A lot like I did in my fight against Lopez. A lot of that, sparring paid off, and it did shape me. And I know he did put out a tweet as well, saying that I hope the sparring we did, helped you in this fight, and straight away.
that's amazing.
And I was so excited. He's a legend of the sport.
He is a legend, and he's such an unusual guy. You know what's crazy about him is his calves.
I agree with that opinion too. I don't think Manny should be in the ring again. Not everyone gets a comeback like George Foreman. Not everyone is Bernard Hopkins. He already had an amazing return 6 years ago. He shouldn't feel pressure to beat that again, a fan said. The next fan pushed back on Joe Rogan, saying, "Man, we're talking about boxing's only 8-division world champion. He hasn't only beaten weight class odds, but also beat age to defeat Keith Thurman. Barrios is easier than Keith, so we know what's coming."
Way he did it, like
Yeah.
that I'm a huge fan of Cotto. I love this school, and the way that he beat Cotto, I didn't think nobody could ever do that to him. It was just
A third fan wrote, "I don't like the risks this brings for Manny Pacquiao either. I still think he'll beat Barrios and set another boxing record that's hard to break." Then one last fan said, "Floyd always said boxing would retire Manny. Part of being great is knowing when to stop. I'm sorry, but Manny doesn't get that. And small things like this put him behind Floyd Mayweather in the GOAT argument."
what the fuck.
Well, his legs, Manny's legs are like tree trunks.
Yeah, and the
It's
hand
crazy.
speed, the power,
speed, everything.
I just always wish that the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight would have took place many years before them when it did.
Well, it also took place in Manny. Dude,
Right.
once he steps through that roast, like, this is a whole different set of rules he's
Yeah.
flying with.
like
Yeah.
Keith Thurman talking about you gonna crucify him and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and he just
Ooh,
like,
don't say that. Yeah.
And got crucified.
Yeah, but he's
I
super
wish you the
religious,
best.
too.
Good luck in that fight.
After After nearly 4 years away from the spotlight, boxing legend Manny Pacquiao has shocked the combat sports world with a big comeback announcement. At 46, the Filipino star will face WBC welterweight champion Mario Barrios in a high-stakes match, set for July 19th at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. Sharing the news on his official account, Pac-Man said, "I'm back," then added, "Let's make history on July 19th at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas." The news quickly caused a stir across boxing and MMA. Fans were thrilled, but many experts raised concerns about Pacquiao's age and the danger of returning to top-level fighting this late in his career.
Look
Massive.
at that. They're giant. They're like a thigh.
And I know the reason why, because in General Santos, the mountains that he runs and that steep hill, that's why they're so big, because he's always constantly running the mountains. And I was doing the mountain runs with him.
Yeah.
My calves started getting bigger and bigger. But I understand, why his calves are huge. But he's always bouncing. He's always moving around.
Yes.
Like, he'll bounce for like 20-something rounds. He'll do his pads and he's jumping up and down. And
One reaction came from NFL quarterback Aaron Rodgers, who appeared on episode 2325 of the Joe Rogan Experience and was shocked. That's kind of crazy. He's 46 years old. Joe Rogan, however, sounded more doubtful. Instead of ignoring the comeback, he suggested the possibility of PED use. He's not going to return at 46 for a real match, I guarantee it. The podcaster talked about Pac-Man's legendary career through 8 weight classes and also questioned if his physical changes over time were natural. "Yeah, I mean, boxing has always had a PED issue," Rogan said, then compared it to MMA and the UFC, where stronger drug testing has changed things.
Let's go.
An unbelievable person, unbelievable athlete, and a legend of the sport. I think as time progresses, people are really gonna appreciate his greatness.
Yeah, and coming back from defeats too. I mean, he's a guy that's had his downs.
Yeah.
He's had his ups and his downs, and he always.
When Rodgers asked, why did they stop doing that or change the weight classes, Joe Rogan changed the topic to USADA, crediting it for cleaning up the UFC in a big way. To prove his point, he talked about former UFC heavyweight Alistair Overeem and how his body changed after USADA testing. Alistair Overeem is the best example. When he fought Brock Lesnar, he got drug tested and was super juiced. On stage, he was uber, 260 pounds shredded and one of the best strikers alive. Brock was terrified. Then they made him take the PED test, and he turned into a normal guy with just good skills. He wasn't uber anymore. He lost that destroyer edge. At UFC 141, Alistair Overeem finished Brock Lesnar in just one round with a brutal liver kick that left the former WWE star helpless. But over a year ago, the UFC and USADA split up, ending a partnership that had become tense. Many saw the breakup as a long standoff and were left unsure about the future of drug testing in MMA. Still, Joe Rogan keeps criticizing USADA's role and what it meant for the sport. While Rogan usually offers balanced views on PEDs, he's made it clear that in some situations he thinks these substances should be allowed.
He's friendly to people. It's like he's so admirable just as a human being.
And it shows too that defeats, I love how the UFC is. Losses are losses.
Yeah.
Boxing has this stereotype where the zero is so important. I'm on.
So what's the reason that might make PEDs acceptable? Let's look deeper. You have to train in wrestling, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu. There's not enough time in one day, and not enough time to rest. That's when Dr. Feelgood steps in. He shows up and bang, said Joe Rogan back in 2015, when USADA was increasing drug testing on top UFC stars like Anderson Silva, John Jones, and most recently, Hector Lombard. The podcaster called the wide use of steroids in fighting sports a serious problem. Still, Joe Rogan has never fully opposed PEDs in sports. Even in 2015, he said they were useful for healing and surgery recovery, stressing the need for fighters to heal properly.
When Manny is also like a world-class pool player.
Well, he's got the pool tables
Yeah.
at his mansion in his
He's
house.
really
yeah.
good.
So he's non-stop.
Like he plays like a professional.
and he loves his basketball. You
Yeah,
should see
I heard
this
he's
guy
great at basketball,
shooting
too.
threes. It's unbelievable.
Wow, he's a serious athlete.
Yeah.
Did training with him? Did you make any changes to the way you approach fights or the way you prepare for fights after training with him?
I did. I learned the 1%ers, the extra bit to do the extra round.
Jump forward to 2025, and things are still about the same. UFC's relationship with USADA is still rocky, especially after the drama with Conor McGregor's testing while he was healing from a big injury. Dana White was very open about not liking how USADA treated McGregor, and Rogan, who's always supported science-backed recovery for athletes, spoke up again on episode 2285 of his podcast. While talking to Andrew Schultz, Rogan said USADA stopped UFC fighters from using stem cell treatment to speed up recovery. He added, "Let me tell you why USADA didn't allow it in UFC, and now other sports won't either. It's because it works. It's dumb, but they say it's performance enhancing since it helps you heal and recover faster."
Usually before the sparring with Manny Pacquiao, you do your 8 rounds or your 10 rounds of pads and you're sparring, but that's it. You do your ab work and you finish. With him, he does his pad work, he does his sparring, but then he's on the bag, he's on the shadow boxing, he's there doing the pad work. So the extra rounds just builds that conditioning and that stamina. And that's what I just found, that push more rounds. If the body can keep going.
Truly, Manny Pacquiao has been training like he never even took a break. Just days into camp for his risky comeback and his July fight with Mario Barrios, Pacquiao is already followed around by many cameramen. He's now 46 years old and will likely look his age in the ring against Barrios, who's 30. Still, people can't get enough of Manny. Fight Hype released a video on Friday showing a crowd of content creators surrounding Pacquiao, asking his opinion on Terence Crawford's September 13th super middleweight fight against Saul Canelo Alvarez.
Manny, any advice on Crawford moving up in weight? You did it so many times. Any advice for Crawford moving up in weight? You did it so many times and you were successful. What do you tell Crawford? Any advice?
My advice to him is just focus on speed and the speed and style. And also strength.
Pacquiao didn't seem very interested, looking more excited to take a photo with a fan than to answer questions from the press. Still, the group managed to ask a few. What advice did Pacquiao, an experienced weight jumper, have for the smaller? Crawford? Make sure to focus on speed, Pacquiao replied. That's the issue when you move up, your speed and power. But for Pacquiao, it never was. Even though he started out as a skinny flyweight, Pacquiao succeeded across 8 divisions and did it all with a very aggressive, attacking style in the ring. Even though Joshua Clottey and Antonio Margarito had big size advantages, Pacquiao was still the attacker in those fights, darting in and out like a wild hummingbird and hitting them with fast combos. Still, he made a good point. Pacquiao eventually stopped scoring knockouts, and speed matters a lot in the ring, not just for landing punches but also for dodging them from bigger opponents. At the end of the video, Pacquiao stood with his team, cameramen, and reporters. He hasn't lost his joy, his jokes, or his love for fans, but he probably has lost the same speed and power he mentioned earlier. It's been 16 years since Manny Pacquiao last fought someone like Mario Barrios. That's a huge gap in any field, especially in boxing, where time matters a lot. That's what worries many people about Pacquiao's return to the ring, including close friends like Bob Arum. As Pacquiao's promoter and longtime friend, Arum said, "He's a great person, Manny Pacquiao. If anyone can do it, he can, but I'm worried because of his age and time away." At 46, Pacquiao is ending a 4-year break to enter a fight that feels like Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, but in this case with a real boxer and one who's dangerous due to the age gap alone. In Manny Pacquiao's training camp, they clearly understand the challenge ahead and seem to be focusing on key parts of training to help him deal with tough moments if they happen. A short statement given to Alia Sekbac by someone on Pacquiao's team says a lot about how they see the fight for the WBC welterweight world title. Justin Fortune, Pacquiao's strength and conditioning coach, and Buboy Fernandez, his manager, were there when Sekbac asked questions. But it was an assistant trainer who gave the big hint about their strategy. When asked for a prediction, he said clearly it will go 12 rounds.